Hi, and welcome to my studio. My name is Terri Sproul, and today I'm going to teach you how to make some embellishments using jewelry findings from Sakura Hobby and Craft and some stamps from Viva Las Vegas Stamps. So come on down to my workspace and let's start playing. Okay, we're down here at my workspace and I'm going to show you how to make these really cool embellishments. I made this book and it's actually on my blog, which is Terri Sproul.blogspot.com, and I made these really cool embellishments in here, like this one. This is a steampunk book. This one right here, and this one, and this one. So I want to show you how to make both of these types of embellishments using, you don't have to use clip art, which is what I'm going to use here. You can use stamps, or you can even use photos. So let's get down to my work spot and let's play. Okay. First thing I want to do is, I have these jewelry findings from Sakura. I got their silver one. It's just a plain jewelry finding. And I don't need that little ring that's up there. So I'm just going to take my clippers and bye, it's gone. Now the other thing I don't like about it is it's too silvery for me, and I needed it to be a little more aged. So I'm going to use some alcohol inks. Here's a really good tip, and sorry Tim, don't yell at me for this one. But you can go to any craft store and buy felt like this, and you can cut a piece that fits the Tim Holtz applicator for his alcohol inks. So it can save you a lot of money. Then I'm going to use 3 colors of alcohol inks. I'm going to use ginger. I believe that's pesto. And just so you know, show you how to do this, you take the nib, you put it into the applicator onto the felt and squeeze a little. And then this last one is butterscotch. Is it butterscotch? Yes, butterscotch. You don't want to put the colors one on top of each other, they'll muddy, but next to each other. Like that. See how that's working? Great. Now put those off to the side. Now my findings, I want to change the color of it. And alcohol ink works perfect. So I'm going right around the edge with this, and I'm turning my applicator so that I'm getting all 3 colors here. And I know this is really hard to see on the camera, but it really does change the color from the silver that it is now to I don't know, this is kind of an antique-y color. Now I don't normally have to do the back because I would actually glue this down, but I think it might show up on camera really well for you guys, so I'm going to go ahead and do the back. See how that took that from silver to this almost copper color? Isn't that cool? I'm hoping you guys can see that really well. There you go. So that's how I did that. Now, I want to put something inside that. So I'm going to use this sheet of clip art that I have here, and that's a round shape. They actually have squares and they rectangles and different sizes, but I wanted to show the circle for a reason. The best way to use the circle one is a punch, and this happens to be a 1 1/4 inch circle, which works perfectly for that finding there. So I'm going to put that in. I like to go upside down so I can actually see what I'm going after, and I'm going after that clock center there. And then just go ahead and punch down. And now I have my clip art for the inside of this project. So that's going to go in there like that. Now how I'm going to adhere that down is with my 3D crystal lacquer, which is also from Sakura. And this is a brand new one, and I wanted to keep the brand new one because I wanted to show you a little trick that I do with my crystal lacquer. I always cut my nib at an angle. This way you get a little more control on how much comes out of that nib. Good trick. So, I'm going to take my finding, and I also need a Q-tip. So I'm going to grab a Q-tip here. And just a drop of the crystal lacquer is all you need to do in that center of that finding. Oh, you know what I didn't do? I know better. See, this is a brand new bottle. I wasn't kidding. Take that off. There we go. Now I bet it'll flow. Sorry about that. Don't like being stupid on camera. Oh well. Now I take my Q-tip and I just make sure I get that spread all the way around. And you should see I put very little of the crystal lacquer in there because you're only using it right here as an adhesive. Now I'll take my clip art, and I usually take the opposite end of my Q-tip and I just make sure I go all the way around and make sure it has adhered all the way to the bottom. Now at this point I can have a little more fun. See, and it's starting to curl up there, so let me get in there and make sure it's staying down. I have this little treasure chest of parts, gears and handle. Ooh. I'm going to take these really cool clock like hands. I'm going to put them in there. So you can put stuff down in here like gears, or here I'm using clock handles, hands I guess. Get that in there. Perfect. And I can put a gear in there too if I want. Here's a really cool gear. I think I'm going to drop it over here on the side. Okay. Now I'm going to go back to my crystal lacquer and I'm going to fill this whole container with crystal lacquer. I like to go around the edges, you see, and then I kind of fill in the center. Seems to work the best for me. Okay. Then you need to let this sit to the side and dry for a while. When it dries, it does turn out crystal clear like this picture I have in here. Now this one I didn't put any gears in, but I could at this point actually put a gear or something in it and even get more depth coming in. More dimension. So, I'm going to put that one off to the side and I'm going to show you another one. Now, this next one I'm going to show you using stamps. So the first thing I want to do is take this really cool gear stamp from Viva Las Vegas Stamps. And you can find them at stampo.com, STAMPO.com. And I'm going to stamp it onto this kind of crafty paper I have. The color's kind of crafty. Perfect. But I want to age that up some, so I'm going to use some cut and dry and some more ink just to give it some more aging. Get in there and get it all aged up. Okay, now Sakura has these other findings, and they come packaged like this, and they're called fancy glass tiles. And they have different sizes and different shapes. And just an FYI, you can alcohol ink these. So this is the size I'm going to use, this one right here. And this is the image that I'm going to make my embellishment out of. So, I always cut my embellishment, the piece of paper or the clip art or the picture, larger than my glass. So, I'm going to do a really rough cut here. Put that off to the side. Now, when you buy these glass tiles, they have a really smooth side, and then they have one that's just a little bit of texture. The texture side is also more square, where the top is a little more beveled. So on the back side, the side that has the texture that's also real square, is where we're going to put our crystal lacquer again. So we're going to take it and we're just going to put a drop down the center. And I'm going to grab my Q-tip again, and I'm going to make sure the whole thing is covered with the crystal lacquer, because again, this is what we're using as our adhesive. Then I take this and I lay it over the image that I'm going to use as my clip art, and if you wiggle around a little bit, that really does help with any of the bubbles or whatever it gets in. Then I like to pick it up and I like to really get in there with it. And I literally just take as you see, I push and I make sure all the air bubbles are out and it's getting a good attachment. Isn't that cool so far? It doesn't take long to dry because we didn't use much of the crystal lacquer, unlike the last embellishment, which would take a few hours to dry. So that's actually dry at this point. Then I go in with my scissors and I cut right along the edge. If you angle your scissors a little, you will get a closer to your glass. Just a little hint there. Okay. So there is my embellishment. Now at this point, I could, like I did in my book here, get to that page. See on this one, I glued a little gear to it. Or on this one right here, see that one? I did a finding on the back of it and hung it from this old-fashioned safety pin. So it's actually I glued it on there too, so it's hanging and glued down. Gluing, that's good English, isn't it? Anyways, here's the findings that Sakura has. They have a couple different ones that work really great. So I'm going to use this star one, or excuse me, it's like a moon. Again, just a little drop of crystal lacquer on the back of it. Put your lid on your crystal lacquer so it doesn't clog up. Decide what you want to be top and bottom, and you just adhere that right to the back. See how I'm just going to adhere that? Let it sit for a little while, it's dry, and you're done. Again, you can attach something to the front using crystal lacquer, a little drop of crystal lacquer, drop a gear or anything else that might be dry enough for me to actually do that. Let's see if I have a gear. This one will work. Yep. So, little drop crystal lacquer, and drop my gear right into the crystal lacquer. Let it dry, and you have your embellishments done for your next book. Thanks for stopping by my studio.